Hey, what's up, you guys? I wanted to make a video about MEPS. It took me a while to make this video because it just takes longer than the rest of the videos. So this video will be about MEPS physical and my personal experience when I went to MEPS and the physical part and what I had to encounter. So first off, I got there about 5 o'clock in the morning. My sergeant told me to be there about 5:30. It don't start until 6 o'clock. He was like, usually, get there 30 minutes early, then wait on the bus to arrive. The bus is usually on time. But I got there at 5 o'clock, and the bus didn't get there till about 6:10 or 6:15. It was running a little late, and then it was me and like 4 other people that was sitting outside waiting on the bus to arrive. Then all of a sudden it was like a swarm of people came around the corner, and next thing you know, we just heard like a lot of yelling, like, I told you all to form 2 lines. If you're shipping, get in this line. If you're doing your physical, get in this line. And so we jump up. We're like, okay, what's going on? Because like we are the ones that drove, like us 4 or 5. We drove there, and so we was waiting on the people who stayed in the hotels or caught the shuttle or whatever to come. And so it was like a lot of yelling, and it's only 6 in the morning. It's still kind of dark outside. So anyway, so as soon as we get in line, the shippers was against the wall or whatever. Then all of us doing our physicals was like, we formed like 3 other lines. And then while you're standing out there, they're telling you to check your bags, make sure you don't have anything in your bags, no guns, no bullets, no knives, no razors, sharp end razors. You can have like regular shaving razors in your bag, like for people who shipping out, but they can have like straight blade razors. So, and they want you to take your cell phone out your bag, your keys. They don't want anything metal in your bag. So we was doing that or whatever, and they make you nervous talking about like, because this can happen, that can happen, if we find something in your bag. And so I went, and the only thing I had on me was a purse. So I went through my purse and I'm like, let me make sure that nothing accidentally get in my bag. But I had already been through my purse like 3 times, and I didn't have anything but my cell phone, my car keys, and well, two sets of car keys, and I think that's about it. And so I like the way that they sit there and say it like over and over again, it'll make you think that you have something in your bag, so you want to look again. So I looked again, didn't have anything in there. And so they were saying like, when you get through the metal detector, make sure you don't have anything in your bag, or you have to go to the end of the line, and they're just gonna hold up everybody else, because there was a lot of people there like that morning. And so the line started moving or whatever, and then they stopped the line. They was like, oh my God, someone forgot to take their bullets out their bag. And we like, so apparently someone had bullets in their bag, but I don't know. So anyway, so it takes a while. I was like in I was at the end of the 2nd line, and so I get up there, and they was like, make sure you're able to pee. If you cannot urinate when you have to, you're gonna have to come back and do your physical. So I had drunk like 2 bottles of water that morning, and God. And so this process was already long, trying to get through the door, and all of a sudden I started having to go to the bathroom, but I'm still in line trying to wait to go through the metal detector. So I get through the metal detector, and I'm like kind of walking slow because I have to use it. And so here goes another guy, walk faster, put your feet in front of the other foot. I'm like, excuse me, sir. I didn't say that, but I wanted to say that, and so I got my bag. He was like, hurry up and grab your bag and keep going. And so I'm standing there waiting on, and so I grab my bag, and I'm standing there waiting on the elevator. And so he was like, ma'am, do you have to go to the bathroom? I'm like, yes. And so he was like, there's a bathroom right here. And so I went, to the back and went to the bathroom. I'm like, oh my God, I just used the bathroom, and I'm gonna have to do a urine test. I'm not gonna be able to pee again. Oh my gosh. So we go into the building. As soon as you get up the elevator or whatever, they tell you to go to your liaison's office so you can get a name tag. And so we went there, we got our name tag, and then we went to the back. It's somewhere in the back that they sent us to do our physical, to start the process to do our physical. And so we went to they told everyone to get like in this line, and when you get in the line, you're gonna like, everybody have to stay behind like a certain line. One person moves up, and talk to the lady at the computer, and then they go around, get their blood pressure taken and their vital signs or whatever. So I get up there and her computer shuts down and freezes. I'm like, oh my goodness, like, is this how my morning really starting off? So I had to stand there for about 5 minutes in her computer. She got her computer back up and running. And the only thing she asked you was, are you on medication? Are you on medication? And have notes from your doctor if you are on medication. But I didn't have any medication I was on, so I was like, no. And then she gave us a piece of paper that we're supposed to hold on to until we get to our next station. So I took that paper, I went around, got my blood pressure taken. My heart was beating so fast. My heart rate was like 90 something. Like, I don't know why I was nervous, but I was. But my vital signs passed or whatever. And so they tell you to go out there and you sit in these chairs until someone call you. And the first station that you go to when you do your physical is the ear testing station. And it had it was a small box, and it was like 4 chairs on this side and 4 chairs on this side. And so it was like 8 of us in there, and then it was like headphones behind us. So we gave the man our paper to do our ear testing on. So they got that paper and they told us to go in there, and they would tell us which seat to sit in. And he came in here like, everybody turn around and face the wall, grab your button, and I'll tell you when to start. And then whenever you hear a sound, you just push the button like a regular ear test. And so we did the ear test. He gave us our paper back. Well, you can't get up until he called you. So he called me, and then I grabbed my paper, left out the door, and went and sat down until it was time to do the vision test. And in a vision test, I wear glasses and I wear contacts. So at my recruiter office, we was going over the vision test, and I passed it with flying colors. And so we got to the vision test at MEPS to do my physical, and oh my God, he was like, okay, I want you to go through this book and tell me what number you see. And it was like a color vision test, which I'm not colorblind or anything. So as soon as I say the number, he flipped the page. He was flipping the pages like this. Like, as soon as I'm saying a number, and I'm like, well, I hope you don't make me mess up, because you going a little fast. But I passed that with 100. I got all that right. And then it was time to do a vision depth test. When I tell you, every circle looked the same. But on paper, when I was doing it with my recruiter, I could tell you which one is different from the other. But when you get there to do your physical, you're doing it on a little computer thing. So every circle looked exactly the same. So I failed that test miserably. And so he was like, as soon as you get one wrong, we're gonna stop the test. So he was like, okay, line 1. I'm like, I don't know. He was like, so just guess and tell me which one looked. And I'm like, they honestly look all the same. So I just started down number 2, number 3, I don't know. So he was like, okay. And so we stopped that test, and then we went and did another part of the vision test where the line test that you do at the regular eye doctor, what do number 3 say, number this say. So I did that test, whatever, but I had my glasses on. And so after he gave me my paper bag, and we were supposed to sit. No, we wasn't. He gave me my paper bag and walked me over to a classroom, and I was the only one in that classroom. I'm like, so did I fail? Is my process ending now? What's going on? But I was the only one in the classroom. He gave me my paper bag, and I didn't understand. And I knew I failed the depth test, but I'm like, did I fail any other eye tests? I mean, I know I wear glasses and contacts, whatever. And so it was another sergeant came in, and he came in, and then it was more people just started coming in. They had the girls and boys separated for some reason. The girls was on the right side of the class. The men were on the left side of the classroom. And it was like a big empty, space of desks in the middle. And so during that time, with us being in a classroom, it was I want to say he was a sergeant. He was a Navy sergeant or something. He was in the Navy. And he started going over stuff on the screen with us, about the military or whatever. He had us to take out, filling out our information, that's what it was. And we had to bubble in stuff And then some stuff they didn't want you to bubble in. It was like kind of like on a electron, a scantron, excuse me, a scantron. I haven't had those since school. It was on a scantron, and then it was like bubbling in our information and stuff like that. And so some people just kept messing up because they weren't listening. Like on a certain paper you can use just pen, and then on another one you can use just pencil. And then some people were just like, they just was not listening and they were just messing up. And so after we finished doing that, he was like, now pull out this thing. It was like a little tube about this long, and he was telling us how to just blow in it for like 10 or 15 seconds or whatever. He was like, because that's what you're gonna do when you leave out. So we left out the classroom, and he let the girls go first. And he was like, and so they put it in like this little gun looking thing. It was like a breathalyzer. And so we had to blow in it until it beeps. And so after we did the breathalyzer and passed, and then they sent us over there to do our urine test. And it was this lady waiting on, it was 3 girls and like 18 guys that was like all together. But when we did our urine test, we went with this lady. And so she had to go in the bathroom with us, and it was like, since it was only 3 of us, we all went there one at a time or whatever. And then we sat, and then we stood against the wall until she called us. So you had to leave. So after she, like, okay, I'm just using me. She called me into the bathroom, and then she like, leave the stall door open and drop your pants all the way to your ankles. It was so awkward. Oh, it was so awkward. And so I had to like drop my underwear and my pants that I had on all the way to my ankle. And then she reached me a cup, and then I had to urinate in a cup, and then I had to pull. And so so when you urinate in a cup, you have to close it back up and slide it under the stall, and then she let you close the door and clean yourself off. And so after we did that, and we went over to like the lab area, and they took like samples of our urine and had us sign it. And then we left back out the bathroom, and we sat in some chairs. And then after we sit in, we were sitting in the chairs, waiting to get our blood taken. And as we were sitting in the chairs, the lady that was in the bag that took our urine or whatever and had us sign it, I don't know, she just had like this real rude attitude. So she came from the back, and it was like the girls and the guys, sitting in the chair waiting to get our blood taken and everything. And so she came out, and this one guy had his legs stretched out and crossed or whatever. And so I guess he didn't move his feet in time, or he didn't move them at all or whatever. And so she was like, next time somebody walks through, you need to move your feet. They're just rude. And so everybody looking at her like, and he was just like, yes ma'am. But it's like a lot of people, I don't know if they tell them to be rude, but it was like a lot of rude people. Like, just, I don't know, but it was a lot of rude people that day. And then I liked it, the Navy sergeant, I believe he was the one that was in the class. He had a very nice personality. He was very laid, like, I liked him. It was very nice. And then a sergeant, okay, I'm not going. So anyways, so we were sitting there, we got our blood taken. They, like, my veins, like, only thing I have to do is just show you my arm, and my veins just pops out. But for some reason, he stuck my vein, but he couldn't get any blood out of it. And I was hydrated, so I don't know why. So he had to stick his arm. So I was the only one walking around with 2 big old bandages across my arms. And so after we got our blood taken, we had to sit back out there, and then someone tells us to move over there to the MD office. The female MD wasn't there. So we had to use a male MD. And we went in there and we talked to him, gave him our paper or whatever, and he was like asking us like questions like, do you have any tattoos, piercings, scars, have you smoked marijuana, like, stuff like, he just went down a list. And so, we answered our questions, and then they set us back outside to wait in the chairs. And so the lady comes from over there. It was like another side where it was a counter that was behind like a little counter. And so she was telling all, it was only 3 females, so she was telling us to go back in the room. Like, we sat there for about, I want to say 15 minutes. But she was telling us, you know, it's okay, it's time to start our physical, to go back in the room or whatever. And so we went back in the room, and we had to go, and they had like, in the room, they had like separate little dressing rooms. And so we went in there, we closed our curtain, we got undressed. And then after we got undressed, no, I take that back. Okay, let me rewind. So we went into the room, and so as soon as we got in there, she went over some information with us, and then she told us to go get undressed because it was time to start our physical. So we went, we got undressed, we were just in our bra and panties. My recruiter stressed, he was like, make sure you wear granny panties and you wear a granny bra. Nothing sexy, nothing lacy, nothing, like just underwear to cover your whole cheeks, and a bra that's like cover all of your boobs or whatever, and like no lace on and no colorful nothing. So I went to the store, and I bought me like some granny panties and a granny-ish bra, and that's what I wore. Like the underwear, it was like the green underwear to come like up here and it cover all your booty. And then the bra, it was just a plain black bra, like just nothing appealing about it, just a plain black bra. And so one person did have on, luckily the woman was like, luckily we don't have the woman doctor in today or you'll get sent home, because you're like, her underwear like came up and showed like her cheeks, and it had like lace around it or whatever. And so she's like, luckily the woman doctor's not here. And so the first thing we did was took our height and weight, and like we did my height, and then my hair, the first thing she did was, oh, that's a sew-in? I'm like, yeah. And so she was like, oh, luckily the woman doctor's not here because she sends everyone with weave in their hair home. I'm like, really? And then this other girl, she had like some box braids, and they was real big and long. And but the crazy thing is, I had a sew-in, but I had a middle part, and like my middle part is like the flat part. It was like flat, you know. And when they took my height, I was the exact same height that I am, at 66 inches. And so she was like, well, we're just gonna adjust your height and say that you are a little shorter than that because you have weave. I'm like, but I am 66 inches. And then she took our weight, and then it was the next girl turn. One person didn't make it because they was like 5 pounds overweight. But only thing they have to do, like when they go back to MEPS, to just get reweighed. They don't have to do the whole physical over again. But when you're overweight, they still let you go through with the whole process, and then they tell you at the end, well, you didn't make it today because of your weight, but you can come back, or like when you lost 10 pounds or whatever. And like, but you, so it's a good thing that they let you finish the whole process, because it's a long process and you don't want to have to do it again. But anyway, so we was doing the physical, and it was some exercises that we had to do, and one of them was like balance on one leg, and for some reason I could not balance on one leg. I was like a chicken with one of the, I don't know, like I could not balance on one leg for nothing. So she gave me like 2 times. She's like, you have to get this, because if you don't get this, you're gonna have to come back in 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh Lord, no, I don't want to come back. I do not want to come back. So I balanced on, and so eventually she gave me, you know, a second chance to redo it or whatever. And so I redid the balance on my legs, and I passed through it. She's like, you need to work on your balance. But I got home and could balance so good. Like I got home, I'm like, let's see if I can do it now. And I was balancing really good, and I'm like, I don't know what was going on. I don't know if it was my nerves or what, but I just couldn't do it. And so I passed that part. And then let me see, what else did we do? Okay, so after the physical or whatever, they have you doing like balancing on you, getting down, always says ground, balancing on your toes. You have to do the duck walk. you have to walk real fast and then come back and walk real fast. Some doctor can, I guess, watch your walk, whatever, make sure you don't have any limps or anything. And so after the physical and everybody got cleared or whatever, it was time for everybody to do their one-on-one. And so when we went in there with the doctor, and when we went in there, we had to get, first he had to look at us to see if we have any scars or marks or birthmarks or mold or anything. And so I had a birthmark, and after the birthmark, I had to show him. He was like, "What is that on your finger? A mole?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he like, "How long it's been there?" I'm like, "I don't know. Like, it's been there since I can remember." So he had to write down all the, the moles, whatever he's saying. And then, like, this MD, like, I think we got lucky or whatever, because he was like kind of going through everything fast, whatever. Because to me, he just kind of seemed uncomfortable, like looking at the women. And so we had to get completely undressed, and it was a woman, and it was the lady in there with him that was going over our physical. So we got completely undressed, and she gave us something to throw over us. And so we had to lay back on the table and prop our legs up on some struts, like we're about to give birth or do our pep smear or something. And so he just looked real quick, and he was like, "Okay." He looked, and we're like, "Okay." And then we got back dressed. He looked in, no, we didn't get dressed yet. He looked in our ears and make sure our ears clean. And then one person didn't make it because their ears wasn't clean, so they had to come back for that too. And then what else happened? Oh, and then after we get dressed, whatever, then the doctor come back out. He fill out all our paperwork, and then he give it to the lady that was in there, and then she'll come up and she'll read the paperwork. She'll be like, "Oh, you made it." And then for one girl, she was like, "Oh, you didn't make it today because your ears was dirty and you need to lose about 10 pounds. And then when you come back, just make sure, and then she gave her something, to clean her ears out with, like something to go get that's over the counter to clean her ears out with." And then I was the last one. And so she was like, "You made it." She's like, "Just make sure you work on your balancing or whatever, because when you get to MEPS, they're going to have you doing these same exercises and you don't want to get washed out." And so she was like, and so I've been, I've been running, I've been exercising, I've been practicing my balance even more. And I think that's about it. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment below or hit me up, and I will answer any questions as best as I could. And let me know what's going on and what else you guys want to know next. Thank you.